It's another Thursday edition of A Flawed Man of God. Welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is just talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about Christianity, talk about church. So if you're somebody who is curious about learning more about having a relationship with God, what Christianity is all about, by all means, welcome. Tune in, get what you can out of here. Let this serve as a very amateur primer on what Christianity is all about. We go through the Bible, we talk about Christian issues, and you get some influence and some eyesight on me, someone who's been a Christian all my life. I'm a non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word day to day, trying to live a life closer to Christ. And I'm somebody that you might find if you find yourself going into church. So again, what we try to do here is talk about um, how biblical issues apply to everyday life, how Christian issues apply to everyday life, reacting to different things that are going on. So again, if you also like to listen to Christian commentary or Christian opinions, if you want to participate in the chat, I highly encourage you to do so. With the size we're at right now, we're running very similar to what you would consider a small group at church, and it's very casual, and it's very open to people speaking what they need to speak about and giving their perspective. So as I go through the Bible, like we do tonight when we're talking about Joshua, if something hits you a certain way and you want to express that, go ahead, put that in there. How is what we're reading tonight some strike you as something that you might have wanted to that strike you as something that you've run into in your life, or just give some insights on whatever's going on with you, and we talk about it. We talk about it, which is great. So the chat's here. Nico's first. Wild Weeb is not here first. We settled that Wild Weeb is alive and kicking still, which is great. But Nico, I want to punch you because right now I'm looking at your new profile pic, and I gotta say, you're coming up with new, interesting, and more degenerate ways of displaying my likeness on terrible things. Nirnaeth, welcome to the chat. I'm interested to hear some of your takes tonight. I'm closer to God than all of you right now, watching from 5,000 meters right now. 5,000 meters. Are you in a plane? That's pretty high up, bro. Are you in Colorado? What's going on? I'm not an Earth person. I don't know how high up places are, which is weird because I was in aviation. So we're going to start tonight. We're going to talk about Joshua, obviously, but we're going to start this program off with some hate mail. Yes, I don't really get hate mail a whole lot. And I'm using that term like loosely, folks, as I don't get any emails. This call stems from Nirnaeth. You weren't here live for this. I don't know if you caught the episode last night, but I I criticized on Twitter somebody who claimed that they deconstructed their faith. Right? Claimed that they deconstructed their faith and it made them closer to God. Perhaps not as close as Nirnaeth, though. Perhaps not as close as me when I was at sea level. But so I made a criticism, and the firestorm that brewed after the stream was over was pretty entertaining. I participated in some argumentation, heard some very silly opinions, about what deconstruction is and why it's so great. And really, if you want to look for why you should or should not support something, um, look at who comes out to support you when you say it. So basically, you can go down, and I should share this. Let me see if I've got everything pulled down. Share screen. Notifications are wild right now. Have been wild all day. And you really just need to go down the likes. And let me find a good here's a good one. Michael S. He's into ministry to people on the margins, so marginalized people. That's great. Whether physical, socioeconomic, or cultural, red letter Christian, hashtag social justice, creation care, whatever. Injustice, poverty. God doesn't care about poverty. In fact, he tells. In fact, in a lot of cases, poverty is a virtue. Climate breakdown leading to mass desertification, war and famine. None of them. Biggest problem facing the world is pronouns. No. And this basically sums it up. Sums it up. The pronoun brigade came out, and it's not that it's something that is triggering. It's not something that's upsetting, really. It's just you know them by their fruits. It's a virtue signal. It's just like when they put the syringe in the profile or anything else, you get it's just like it's when you see somebody with that stuff going on, it's very telling. It's very telling. And so basically what was happening was I was talking about how deconstructions leads people to apostasy, which it does, in my opinion. And so what I'm going to do about this is what I'm going to do about this is I'm going to have a couple of people on my program. I'm going to do a couple of shows. It's not going to be during this the next couple of weeks because like I said, it's going to be a very fluid situation. I may or may not be streaming certain days. And so I'm not going to schedule guests during that time because I don't know if I'm going to be available in that evening or not. But once I'm through all that, then it's going to be on. And but I'm going to have Christian, Mario, and the other Paul on a stream to talk about deconstruction and what they've seen from their times as evangelicals and non-denominationals. And I'm going to have another gentleman, or I'm reaching out to another gentleman who has a YouTube about deconstruction. I'm going to have him on. I was put in contact with him through another guy who's actually local to me. Dire Conversations. If you want a more serious, a more educated, and a more well-produced YouTube channel to go to, he doesn't do live streams that I'm aware of. He does pre-recorded videos. He does a very good job with them. But his name is Dire Conversations, and that's Billy Dyer. He does a good job putting a lot of things in perspective in a more mature way than I do, because I'm immature, right? No, Nernath, it's not Demolition Man. It's what is it? Facing deconstruction or something like that. Dealing with deconstruction. I don't know. He's going to be I think he's going to be a little bit different, different flavor, because he's going to be a little bit more loose on theology than we are here, and that most of my guests are. But I was listening to he was doing an interview with he did an interview with Dire Conversations a year ago, and I got enough of it on that I think that he'll be an intriguing guest without violating my no knucklehead policy. So we'll have to see how that goes forward. But I definitely got confirmations from the other Paul and Christian Mario to come on and talk about what they've witnessed, give kind of like a firsthand account, which we've all heard about it. DC Talk's one of the easiest ones to talk about nowadays, with the it's the fad, right? It's the fad. It's the celebrity fad. It's a social media thing. I'm deconstructed my faith. And guess what? Now they barely believe or don't believe at all. And that's where it comes in. When you go down, all the people who came out against, wanted to put their 2 cents worth in, wanted to put their 2 cents worth in on my takes. They were pronouns in bio. They were women pastors. They were people who openly homosexual, as if it isn't a sin to be one as a Christian. And you go right down that list. Go right down that list. Fight the patriarchy. Oh, God's a woman. Oh, that was another one. And the most popular one seemed to be there is no God. There is no God. So when you have these very blatantly antithetical Christian perspectives coming out against a person, felt a little vindicated through the criticism. So it is what it is. But a lot of people say, the subject of this, she accused me of condemning her. I didn't. I said what you're doing is not correct. What you're doing is not correct, and it's going to lead you to apostasy. And please stop. I hope. In fact, what I said was, I pray Jesus saves you from your current trajectory. And that was the whole thing that I think these people no again, and everybody thinks it's an own where they're like, "Well, you really are a flawed man." Yeah, of course. Wow, you got me. It's only in my name. Of course, if anybody who's tuned into the show or read what I have to say, is I'm the first one to admit that I got flaws. I am an absolute asshole on the internet. Right? And that's not always right. And in fact, when the person wanted me to share the gospel, the lady wanted me to share the gospel with her, I was like, look, I'm not the right person to do it, because one, we've been arguing. Two, I don't have the right attitude to talk to you about it, because, you're not going to want to hear what I said. Here, go to these people. Go to these people and talk to them. I directed her to Hans Feeney and Thaddeus Patrick, two personalities that I know that I've talked to, that I think are even keeled and can give a much better explanation than I can about why what she's doing is wrong, and a better path to take. And what did this all stem from? This all stemmed from a bad experience at a church, right? You have a bad experience at a church. You had a bad experience at a church. It doesn't mean your theology is bad. It means that you got caught up in something, or you got a bunch of people who weren't practicing what they preached, which is what has happened a lot of times. It happened at a church I went to, and I stopped going to church for a while because of it. And when I started going back to church, I realized what a problem that was in the first place, and how that had let me drift away. I'm not that flawed, Nico. But yeah, I'm very open about a lot of things that I have a problem with. I'm very combative. I'm abrasive. And they said, well, Jesus isn't like that. I was like, well, I'm not Jesus, right? I'm not Jesus. And expecting everybody to be exactly like him is a terrible attitude. It's a terrible attitude from somebody claiming to deconstruct their faith, right? But that's what you run into. That's what you run into. And then the homosexuality isn't a sin. It absolutely is. Doesn't mean that it's not that you can't be a Christian. It means you have to acknowledge what is right and what is wrong. What is right and what is wrong in the Bible? It's clearly there. You can get grace. There is grace for that, though, but you get grace through the admission of it. You get grace for your remorse for it, the struggle, the trying to be better. It's insane. It's insane. The mental gymnastics that folks who deconstruct their faith have to go through to justify what they do or what they believe. And that's why I said it's so bad. It's so bad. And so you got this other guy, he's got a podcast or something, and he's like, it was the Reformation was a form of deconstruction. I was like, no, the Reformation was Reformation. That's why they called it the Reformation. It's just a different word, but it was the same thing. It wasn't. It wasn't, because the Reformation didn't lead to a great apostasy. Right? People didn't just leave the church. No, they became Protestants. They became the Lutheran Church, the Anglicans, and then from there we had more schism. Now, if you want to, or the Great Schism, right? That wasn't a form of deconstruction. That was a disagreement in policy and who's in charge. But they want to twist these things into being something that they're not, because they want to because it makes it sound better. It makes it sound like more than what it is. A few decades old philosophy, because some French guy thought that maybe we need to change things to fit the culture. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the culture's broken. All you have to do is look around. That's why people need Christ, because the culture's broken. That doesn't mean we need to change God, because you can't, right? You're only setting yourself up for failures. John, Anglican's going to get a big shout out whenever I get No Jesuit Tricks on. You're going to love that guy if you don't follow him on. If you're not following him on Twitter, you need to. He's great. He's great read. Though, but this is the thing. We orbit around God, not the other way around. You can't just say, "Oh no, but that doesn't." And here's the one thing. Here's the thing. Well, when we talked about Christian nationalism, well, the first thing they did was, Christian nationalism does all this. I was like, okay, deconstruction faith does this. It fills you with cultural Marxism and all this other weird political crap, progressively political stuff that's not in the Bible, and oftentimes runs counter to it. I mean, we can play that game if you want. And I'm not a Christian nationalist. I'm not a Christian nationalist. But they go, and I said before that's different. And that's exactly what they all said. Oh, no, that's different. That's different. It's not different. It's two sides. It's two sides politically tugging at each other. Now, I think one theoretically has more basis in at least trying to be good to the faith, but whatever. There's problems everywhere. That's why we all need Jesus, and that's why we all have sins. But you got to admit what you're doing is sinful, instead of just saying, well, I'm just going to talk to people about Jesus. Well, that's great. But when you tell them that Jesus is something he's not, and Jesus comes to you and, look, I gave you this book. We've got this book with all these different other books in here telling you what's right and wrong, right? And I came on the ground to fulfill all of this. And then we talked about building a church and what it should be like. And then we talked about a revelation and what's going to happen later. All this stuff was supposed to happen. This is all in this book. You said you read it, but where did you get all this other stuff? How did you divine all this stuff? Why did you ignore all this stuff at the beginning? And what do you say at that point? Oops. Because God's going to look in your heart and he's going to know. The real reason you did it is because you didn't want to admit what you're doing is wrong. You didn't want to admit what you're doing was contrary to what is in Scripture. And that's the thing. That's all it takes. It's not the sin is a problem. But the real issue starts more on the refusal to admit, the lack of contrition, the trying to change the rules as you go along. That's something that 4-year-olds do. Trust me, I've played Connect 4 with mine. And she didn't even go through the mental gymnastics that these people do. So it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation, but they're out there. But like I said, it was interesting because the more people commented on it, and the more you just click, read their bio, okay, read what they have to say, okay. The more they talked, and the more you understand where they came from and what they actually believed, the more affirming it was that I was right about it. And these people don't. It's not that these people deserve anything bad happening to them as a result. These people need these people need prayer, just like we need prayer. We need prayer for our sins. We need prayer that we can find a way to better communicate. Me specifically, do terrible job communicating. I have good diction. I can write well. I can put words together well, but my attitude is terrible when it comes to this. It's terrible. There's no getting around it, right? That's why I hate doing this. I hate doing this thing on the Twitters. Because somebody says something, I'm like, that's wrong. I need to tell them it's wrong. I feel compelled to tell them it's wrong because I feel like if I say it's wrong, then they will, they might at some point consider it, right? But they won't. They don't. And the next thing you know, they're like, well, you just hate me. I don't hate you. I don't. I want you. And then that's what somebody said on there. Why do you care? Why wouldn't I care? Of course I want people saved. I want people in there. Right? I want people in heaven. I don't want people just, la di da di da going straight to hell because somebody convinced them or they convinced themselves that what they're doing is okay. For whatever the motivations are. For whatever their motivations are. And it's terrible. But like I said, you can it's such a trope. It's such a just self-perpetuating stereotype that when this stuff happens, you see pronouns in the bio. You see pronouns in the bio. And a lot of them disappeared because I think a lot of them blocked me. A lot of them blocked me. But, let me see if I can pull up another one. Here's the other part. If you're going to say you're going to proclaim Jesus to somebody, that might get them started. In fact, hey, hell, you might even save them. But when they see your lifestyle, two things are going to happen. When they see your lifestyle, they're going to be like, well, so you don't really abide by the principles of Christianity. You just like the end result. You don't like the directions on how to get there. You just like the destination. So is this thing really all it means? If the only thing that matters is the fact that that at the end is a happy ending? I don't think so. But, I hope all of those folks, the atheists especially, are able to reestablish a wholesome relationship with Christ. One that is fulfilling. And I'm not super doctrinal. Like, they don't have to be Lutherans. They don't need to be Anglicans. They don't need to be all this other stuff. They just need to believe in the core fundamentals of the Bible, which is there is a law, there is a savior, there is redemption, but they all exist. It's not one or two out of three. It's three out of three, right? Just like the Trinity, right? Not exactly the same, but it's the Old Testament builds up and prophesizes the New Testament, and the New Testament substantiates and proves the Old Testament correct. Don't fall for this, folks. When you hear this mention of deconstruction, get the hell out, because I'm sure that they can, because that little blurb of the, if you're a Protestant, you've already your faith has already been deconstructed. No, there's a difference between deconstructing and rehabilitating a faith. There's a difference between going through going through behavior and going through doctrine. There's a lot of different stuff in there, and they just gloss over it because their last thing, well, it's just like the Reformation. It's not like the Reformation. And guess what? The Reformation was bloody. Maybe they don't remember that. Something about Templars, something about the Vatican, something about a siege, something about Holy Roman Empire. All right, let me get in some chats. I'm sure we'll spend. All right, Nernaeth, jet plane to visit my folks. First off, safe travels, Nernaeth. As Nico said, have a safe flight. You told the pilot to keep the nose above level. Should be all right. Well, at some point, he's going to need to drop it a little bit. What comes up must come down. Then Nernaeth really gets on my nerves. I support Nico and their expression through profile pics. Pronouns, possessives, perhaps? Ours? Don't know. Sounds commie to me, doesn't it? Cultural Marxism. John Smoth. Deconstruction usually just means one of two things. Either they want to listen to their pee-pee rather than the Bible, or they want clout, the praise of man. I'll add those two things are true, and they're not mutually exclusive either. But I'll also add there's resentment in there too. There's hurt. But they sometimes can identify it in the wrong way. Well, the theology is bad. Maybe it is. I don't know. But again, we covered that yesterday. If you fell into bad theology, maybe you're not the person to get yourself into good theology. Porcupine's in the house. What's up, Porcupine? Thank you, Nernaev. I'm sure Stuart also loves them as a testament in life. I do not. Nico, I love you as a brother in Christ. Do not like your profile pic. Nernaev says, depends on how deconstruction is applied, John Smoth. Could be destruction, just like the Reformation and sola scriptura, or trying to dumb it down to say whatever you want. Now, because like I said, that's not a deconstruction. Again, and I think we were talking about that earlier. The Reformation isn't a form of deconstruction. Reformation is was schism, was just flat out schism. Whether it was planned or not. And it wasn't from necessarily bad theology, but I think, again, it was bad behavior. Bad behavior. And, and here's the other thing. Deconstruction doesn't call out a pastor for what they've done that's bad, or what a congregation has done, or leadership that's done that's bad. That doesn't do that. Accountability does. Responsibility does. Your congregation having a spine, your leadership, church leadership having a spine and being accountable and changing those things. That fixes bad leadership. Not, oh, I've changed how I believe in the Bible. Howdy, Porcupine. How's the renovation going? We'll find out in a minute. Um, God has to be a man. He put a ring on Saturn, assuming Saturn isn't a projection. Nico said it'd be interesting to hear from Christian Mario. I feel like colleges these days slip in deconstructivism in all majors. Yeah, it's kind of that again. It's social engineering that they do, whether it's by design or not. I don't know. Maybe it's groupthink social engineering. I really the other Paul's going to have a really good talk about it too because it's something that he's seen as well. Remember, John, the other Paul went to Hillsong in Australia. All right, went through Hillsong in Australia, and he is now assuming Australia is real, with a heavy assumption there. Nernaeth University is a godless wasteland. It can be, for the most part, it is. Stewart is a flawed. Nico says Stewart is a flawed man. He secretly loves the Red Sox. We have proof. I think I told you there is no such thing as proof that Stewart is a Red Sox fan. There was a time where I said that I was happy for those guys because they finally got over the hump of the World Series. And then they started talking in their Massachusetts accents, and I hated them. Bostonian accents are degenerate. Jesus, it's table flipping time. He was a man's man. He really was. But, in the divine sense. John Smoth, he said us Anglicans getting a shout out. Yeah. Yes, Anglicans deserve a shout out. Nernaeus, it sounds like an interesting series of talks. Looking forward to catching what I can while traveling. I guess it's not going to be in the next 2 weeks. It's not going to be over the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks are going to be just what I can get on, I'll get on. So if you're not traveling after 2 weeks, then you'll have plenty of opportunity. Porcupine with the update. Bus Reno build is going all right. Got the entire floor torn up to the metal. Started tearing out the side panels and broke a window. Whoops! A little duct tape and a tarp later. And it's at least waterproof, which is the important part. Jesus plus something equals nothing. Jesus plus nothing equals everything. I like that. That's a good slogan. If I ever do merch, forgot about this one. Hang on, let me read this one. Y'all will appreciate this. This one came in overnight, I think. Gotta go all the way back to the beginning of all this. Oh, here's one. Here's one that like ex-evangelical, romance novel lover, secular homeschool, sailing, circumnavigation, kids for sale, griever, pro-vax, pro-mask, anti-fascist. That's another. That was a good one. Ian Worsfeld, he, him, uncivil partner, Methodist minister, university chaplain, lover of food, hot weather and travel. Yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, Bard the Dragon Slayer is another good one. Pastor, Slayer of Dragons, Rainbow. Chris Lilly. Sometimes I think about theology, vaxxed and boosted, Black Lives Matter, he, him. Like, I think. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. BH. Oh, crap. Hold on. Let me go back here. It's clear you're aiming for the political right, and specifically the ones who are reactive and emotional. That's you guys. And therefore easy to manipulate. Are you guys easy to manipulate? So you're either also deluded, in which case you'll never break out, or you're grifting and currently failing. I mean, I could always do better. Could always do better. I'll grift all day for views. I'll grift all day for I'll grift all day for I'll grift all day for subscribers. But I'm clearly not in this for the money. And here's the thing, I do this for fun. I do this for fun. Y'all make this much more fun too, by the way. Y'all make this more fun, not because y'all listen. Not because y'all listen or do any of that stuff, but because y'all have interesting things to share. And it's always good to know that people around the world also agree with you or disagree with you. But it seems like a lot of us are on the same wavelength. Like I give a lot of credit to Nernath. He adds a lot of poignant things to the show. Some good wisdom. Porcupine, we're excited to travel, profess God's love to all, and live a life of community in Christ. Amen. Nernath, a while back, I made a list of 8 things that are really important. The rest is fluff and freedom to disagree and be wrong about. Yeah. To me, it's just like, what is the thing? What define porn? I don't know. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. It's like that's where we go. And that's what it says. If something sounds iffy, all right, let me go see what the good book has to say about it. When you find something about it, tends to be true. Tends to be you read something in the Bible, it's a truism. Go with it. Go with it, folks. And if not, then yeah. It's just like, forest for the trees, man. If you think that, that's fine. And look, I can't change people. I don't know how to change people's minds. I don't know how to change people's minds. All I know how to do is talk. All I know how to talk, look up what I'm talking about, speak from the heart, and tell you this is my best take. This is my best take. And if you agree with it, great. And if it makes you think, even better. John Smoth, and the Reformation was a return to Scripture, not a journey away from it. That sounds like a high church Protestant right there. That is an Anglican or a Lutheran, right there, non ELCA Lutheran. Assuming it's real, Australia is woke, and in certain states, it's equal or worse than the deep blue states of the U.S. Oh yeah, a lot of those places are way worse woke than we are. Way worse on that man. All right, we're 40 minutes in. We've been talking about this, which is kind of what my goal was. We were going to talk about the hate mail, which is great. I've had this twice. I've had things I've said that were controversial blow up twice, really. The first one was me and my wife getting married when she didn't believe, which I got a lot of very, very, poignant criticism for it. And, it was very well educated. It was very well thought out. A lot of it, some of it was just reactionary, but a lot of people had some very reasoned, very biblically astute takes, right? And gives me pause about it. The second one, the second one was all a joke, right? All it did was tell me I was right. Oh, man. And this is it. Well, the one that just came in, the one came up. Sharon Ottenreith, pastoring, cat rescuing, building mutual aid, writing about movies, wife, mom, grand, falling down life staircase, she, her, pronouns, woman, pastor, cat lady. These guys are still predictable. She would know. She would know. Oh my gosh. All right, let's be serious. Let's be serious. Let's leave the insanity of Twitter behind and get to the serious, very wholesome side of life, which is the Bible. Right, folks? Right, my dudes, my ladies? Cities of refuge. All right, so we finished giving out the allotment of portions to the different tribes of Israel. That's where we left off. One thing we didn't mention, the Levites and the sanctuary cities. Let me call it sanctuary city because that's kind of what it is. City of refuge. I love this idea. I love this due process because you've heard a lot of you are fans of Nick like I am talk about the lack of due process that can get you where you can stay in jail. Like if you're accused of a crime, you can be locked up. That kid up in Wisconsin, was it Wisconsin or Michigan? It's been locked up for years. Finally, it sounds like he's finally getting out. Never had a trial, but he's been under house arrest for that law, not jail. Sorry, not jail, but house arrest. He's been on house arrest for that. No trial. Come on, guys. Cities of refuge. That's great. You got a place to go where you can be somewhat free while under investigation. And so this was established during the Exodus, and now they're putting it into practice. Cities of refuge, chapter 20. Then the Lord said to Joshua, tell the Israelites to designate the cities of refuge, as I instructed you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person accidentally and unintentionally may flee there and find protection from the avenger of blood. When they flee to one of these cities, they are to stand in the entrance of the city gate and state their case before the elders of that city. Then the elders are to admit the fugitive into their city and provide a place to live among them. If the avenger of blood comes in pursuit, the elders must not surrender the fugitive because the fugitive killed their neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. They are to stay in that city until they have stood trial before the assembly and until the death of the high priest who was serving in that time. Then they may go back to their own home in the town from which they fled. So they set apart Kadesh in Galilee on the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. East of the Jordan, on the other side from Jericho, they designated Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau in the city of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead in the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan in the tribe of Manasseh. Any of the Israelites or any foreigner residing among them who killed someone accidentally could flee to these designated cities and not be killed by the avenger of blood prior to standing trial before the assembly. Parole and house arrest cities like Australia. Well, is it real? Is it real or isn't it? That's the thing. Pick one. Meme. Towns for the Levites. Now the family heads of the Levites approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the other tribal families of Israel at Shiloh in Canaan, and said to them, the Lord commanded through Moses that you give us the towns to live in, with pasture lands for our livestock. So, as the Lord had commanded, the Israelites gave the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their own inheritance. The first lot came out for the Kohathites, according to their clans. The Levites, who were the descendants of Aaron, the priest, were allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The rest of Kohath's descendants were allotted 10 towns from the clans of the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and half of Manasseh. The descendants of Gershon were allotted 13 towns from the clans of the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half tribe of Manasseh and Bashan. The descendants of Merari, according to their clans, received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites allotted to the Levites these towns and their pasture lands, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. From the tribes of Judah and Simeon, they allotted the following towns by name. These towns were aligned to the descendants of Aaron, who were from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, because the first lot fell to them. They gave them Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture land in the hill country of Judah, Arba was the forefather of Anak. It's also a sanctuary city. I'm not going to send your criminals to us. I'm going to send them to the Levites. But the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. So to the descendants of Aaron, the priest, they gave Hebron, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Libnah, Jatir, Eshtemoa, Holon, Debir, Ain, Judah, and Beth Shemesh, together with their pasture lands, 9 towns from these 2 tribes. And from the tribe of Benjamin, they gave them Gibeon, Geba, Anathoth, and Almon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. Total number of towns for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The rest of the Kohathite clans of the Levites were allotted towns from the tribe of Ephraim. In the hill country of Ephraim, they were given Shechem, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and Gezer, Kibzaim, and Beth Horon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. Also, from the tribe of Dan, they received Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Aijalon, and Gath Rimmon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. 4. From the half tribe of Manasseh, they received Tanakh and Gath Rimmon, together with their pasture lands, 2 towns. All these 10 towns and their pasture lands were given to the rest of the Kohathite clans. The Levite clans of the Gershonites were given from the half tribe of Manasseh, Golan and Bashan City, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and B, Eshtera, together with their pasture lands, 2 towns. This is smart. All right, let's get around this. This is smart for everybody involved. If you're accused, and especially if you know you're not guilty, if you're accused of murder, what better place to go to than a city of priests? If you are going to give a city up for the, let's call it the sanctuary of accused murderers, do you want them in your city, or if you have to pass a city off, when you just put it there? So it's smart for the tribe, and it's smart for the I don't know. The Levites get to look at these folks firsthand to judge, their personality on things. It's very interesting to see. And look, the Levites are given. This means that they are given stuff that comes out of. Man, that was loud. Are given portions that go to God. Right? These are portions set aside from the Levites from other people's donations. So it's like a charity almost for while you're gone. What in the world made that noise? No. Facebook. So dumb. All social media is terrible. From the tribe of Issachar, Kishion, Daberath, Jarmuth, and En-Ganim, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Asher, Mishal, Abdon, Helkath, and Rehob, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh and Galilee, city of refuge for one accused of murder, Hamath Dor, and Kartan, together with their pasture lands, 3 towns. The total number of towns of the Gershonite clans came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The Merarite clans, the rest of the Levites, were given from the tribe of Zebulun, Jokneam, Karta, Dimnah, Nahalal, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Reuben, Bezer, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mepath, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Gad, Ramoth and Gilead, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns in all. The total number of towns allotted to the Merarite clans, who were the rest of the Levites, came to 12. Towns of the Levites in the territory held by the Israelites were 48 in all, together with their pasture lands. Each of these towns had pasture lands surrounding it. This was true for all these towns. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give to their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. Dang, son! There we go. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to the Israel failed. Everyone was fulfilled, which makes me wonder how they went to war and how come they were not able to unseat the Canaanites. Was it for lack of trying on the Israelites' part? More seriously, I see how this is Nerneath. More seriously, I see how this system works to stop vigilante justice. You got the lifetime of a high priest to settle your feud before someone gets got. Yeah, vigilante justice, and like I said, due process. Due process is a biblical tenet, right? And what's more heated than somebody? Well, I'll take that back. Kid diddlers, groomers. So is what it is on that. But yeah, I mean, stop vigilante justice. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. This is what the Bible makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. A lot of stuff put together here at the beginning make a lot of sense. Weren't they complaining about some iron chariots or something? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they were. They were, Nico. They were complaining about iron chariots. So they're like, oh, I don't want to go into battle. Sounds like they didn't go into battle. We've always had walls for child herders. The wall builders. The wall builders. Nehemiah. The wall. You get the wall. Anyway. All right, folks. So hopefully we learned a valuable lesson about due process. Oh, I forgot to show you. We were supposed to do this last night, and I didn't. And we had a long stream to do it. Let me look at the images. So we looked about this. If you saw one of my earlier streams with Eric, we brought this up, right? Because we were talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Ancient Israel tribes. There we go. Oh, ha! I got to do it differently. Boom. Bring this all the way up. Maybe I can zoom this in. Can I zoom this in? No. All right. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing Asher up here, Naphtali, Dan, Manasseh, the half tribe of Manasseh. Because you see the other ones over here, right? East of the Jordan. Zebulun, Issachar, Gad, Reuben, way over here on the other side of Dead Sea. Ephraim, Dan, Benjamin, Judah. And some places that you might recognize from the Bible or from modern day conflicts in Israel area, Philistia, right? Gaza, the Gaza Strip's very much a hotbed for conflict. Beersheba, that's a lot of stuff going on. Bethlehem, Jerusalem, those are two big ones. Jerusalem still, those are big biblical towns. Jericho, obviously, we've been talking about a lot about that. So you look up one of these things, the 12 tribes in Canaan. Look for images. You can get a good idea, a visual over what we've been talking about, because that's what goes on. it's always easier to figure out what's going on if you can visualize it. Oh, and somewhere under here is Simeon, kind of just surrounded by Judah. So maybe that wasn't the best map. All right. Anyway, there are no good maps. Anyway, so hopefully we learned some tonight. Like I said, I do have a big something that seems pretty big coming up, and I'll reach out to that person to see when they want to start promoting it. Probably once we get it scheduled, though. So you might not hear about it for a couple of weeks. But I was kind of excited when they reached out about it, and we'll see where we go from there. We're going to do a couple of deconstruction timelines. We're going to get Eric Rollon back on here, and I'm thinking about having Hans Feeney back on here just to discuss Lutheranism. Because I think that whether or not you walk away from the show wanting to become a Lutheran or learn more about Lutheranism, you're going to have a blast listening to him tell you about why you should become a Lutheran. He's a funny dude. And but I think that he's a great personality, and he was one of my early guests. Eric, who is he alive? He's alive. I was talking about this yesterday. He's alive. But look, when you travel, you move you uproot your family and you move across country and you try to settle down. It's a lot. So it takes a lot of settling in. So and again, Nernath, a lot of this is on me because I've had a lot going on personally and professionally that's just taking up my time. Again, this is an amateur stream. This is just me doing this on the side because I like interacting with folks like you, and I like putting this stuff out there. But I haven't reached out to him. I didn't know Jericho was so close to Jerusalem. I guess they kind of are. Oh, I just like to bust on Eric while he's gone. No worries. Okay. No, I wasn't taking you that seriously, Nernath. I just figured you might have been asking because it's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a stream. We've done it, like I said, we've done it on Ridgedale. That's the last couple of times we've been on stream together. Was on Ridgedale, and I think that there's another one coming up eventually, but we'll see when that happens. Yeah, get on it instead of bow fishing. I will bow fish as much as I want to, Nico. First thing I'm going to hit is that profile pic of yours. All right. All right, folks. As always, Nico, Nernath, John Smoth, Porcupine, Wild Weeb, wherever you are, I hope things are going well for you. Did I miss somebody else? It's so active. It's always active. It's always active when Nico and Nernath are going in. You're underestimating me by not taking me seriously. Careful. I'll take all your Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't have Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I have baseball cards and football cards. Used to be very heavily involved in that. Wish I still was. Wish I had been right before the COVID thing, man. I'd be rich. Anyway, with that said, folks, have a very good evening. The plan is that I'll be streaming tomorrow night. I don't see anything that'll get in the way of that, but like I said, it's family movie night, so it might be later, and we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, everybody, have a very good evening, good night, and God bless.